So, funny story today. It's just a kind of a nice day. Decided to go out and do a little wheeling through the Sturgeon Valley in the FJ. Couldn't talk either of my kids into going with me, so I just kind of set out by myself and was just cruising around, kind of mapping some places I've never been before back here, seeing if there's some good four-wheel trails, and I did find quite a few. And there's still quite a bit of mud out there, so I had to be kind of careful. And as I was kind of making a big loop, and on my way back, there's a tow truck out in the middle of nowhere. And this guy is unloading his own pickup truck, and he flags me down viciously. So I stop, and he comes over and he's like, "Hey, I'm with the volunteer fire department. We've got a lost vehicle out here that's stuck in a mud hole. That's an older lady who was on anxiety medication, and they'd been looking for her for 3 hours." And I was like, "Okay, what do you need me to do?" And he asked if I had a cell phone signal. And I had just installed the WeBoost signal booster because he had two phones and neither of them had signal. So this is a story about using pretty much everything I had on board. So it started with the WeBoost getting me 1 bar. He used my phone to call 911 dispatch, talk to a lady that he knows. She transmitted this lady's GPS coordinates, the lat long, which I was writing down. I have been using Gaia GPS for all of our navigation, and I had downloaded this area because I know it doesn't have much of a signal at all. So he was like, "You have a pretty sweet GPS signal or system." He goes, "Can you find her?" So I punched it in, and you do need a signal to search something. So I had to drive forward about 1/4 mile to get a strong enough signal for internet service. And I was able to pinpoint her location, and she was less than a mile away from where we were, but on a very rugged 2-track road. So as I came back, once I got a signal and got a fix on her position, I picked up the tow truck driver. Actually, I take that back. He followed me in his truck, and we started busting brush down some trails to find this lady. And I was using my horn to kind of honk, and then she heard me and honked back, so we knew we found her. And had to go through a couple of modest mud holes that, I'm in 4-wheel drive in a lifted FJ Cruiser, and I had to kind of nut it to get out of that first one. And I'm like, what is this lady even doing down here? Come around the corner, and there she is, just parked in the middle of a pretty good sized mud puddle. Went up, talked to her through the door, or through the window, said she was grateful that we found her. The guy informed me that there's no freaking way he's gonna be able to get his tow truck back here. So I was like, well, let's winch her out. So I grabbed a soft shackle and gave it to the tow truck driver because I'm not getting my feet wet. So he actually made a bridge. He made a bridge from the shore of this puddle to her wheel and lashed the soft shackle in, and I wound out the winch and basically fed him some line. He hooked it up. We winched her out by the back wheel, just grabbing a spoke on the wheel because it was like a Chevy Equinox. Everything was underwater, even if she had some place to hook to. So he just said grab onto the wheel, and we pulled her out. And when she opened the door, water just completely flooded out. So I would say there was a foot of water inside this lady's cockpit, and she'd been there for 3 hours, and she was kind of hysterical. She said she was without her anxiety medication. So and get this, OnStar was directing her down this road. Fortunately, she was still on the phone with OnStar the entire time. And that was a good thing because they were the ones that got the GPS fix on her and relayed it to 911, which fed it back to us, which we punched it into the Gaia GPS, and the FJ found her and pulled her out. You okay?
I am now.
Well, thank God for this gentleman.
No worries. I was just out having a good time today.
Thank you.
No
Thank
problem.
you so much.
No problem. Glad you're okay. Glad you honked back because there's a fork in the road back there, and Did you hear me honk earlier?
I heard you.
I was over there, and
No, I just heard the first one, and
Okay.
then I honked back.
while, that thing didn't move an inch when you were wenching. More than impressed. Let's see if I can back it.
So it was all in all a pretty good day. I feel good about it. And the tow truck driver, as he comes up after I pull her out, he's like, hey man, I'm just gonna give you this. And I'm like, no, I don't need anything. He goes, dude, it's an insurance job. He goes, there's no way I could have got back here without you. So gave me $100. So just a nice little day out wheeling. Made $100. Pulled some lady out. I think she was grateful. So that's it. Be prepared. Have everything on board. I had all my recovery gear. Had medical supplies if she needed it, but she ended up okay. And she drove. You know, the tow truck driver, once we got the thing out of the mud puddle, turned her around and got her back to the road where she was able to drive back to where she lives. So